We are in London in the year 1965. A woman named Jennifer gets told by her husband, Lawrence, that everything's going to be fine. Mrs. Cardoza welcomes Jennifer after she spent some time at the hospital. When Jennifer looks at herself in the mirror, she sees her scars and remembers the night of the accident. Lawrence hides a letter on his desk and later the couple will go to sleep. Now in the modern world, we see Ellie, a journalist who lives in London. She just woke up in the flat of a man named Andrew after they had a passionate night. Andrew wants to see her again, but she makes it clear that it won't happen, so she leaves for work. Ellie can't help but look at the pictures with her ex. When Ellie arrives at work, Nick, one of her peers, tells her that Mary Ellen died and Janet wants a feature. Ellie asks Nick if she can take it and Nick agrees. Then she tells Rory that she's writing a feature on the paper's longest-serving women's editor and that it is to her understanding that she donated her entire collection of writings to the archives. Rory pisses off Ellie by telling her that unfortunately she needs to make an appointment online to see the documents and they cannot make any exceptions even for the staff members. Back in the 1960s, we see Jennifer asking a friend named Yvonne if she knew how she lost her memory and if knew where she was going. Yvonne tells her that according to Lawrence she was running errands. Ellie finds a post-it note on her desk which says that she has permission to visit the archive. Rory shows Ellie everything they have from about 65 up until 87. Rory then uses the opportunity to tell Ellie that he really enjoyed one of her features. Ellie stops listening to Rory when she finds the letter Lawrence hid back in the day. The letter reads, "My dearest and only love, I know you're frightened, but believe me when I say I've known nothing like this before. And can assure you that I never will again. I know I will never be satisfied with just a part of you. And for that reason, I'm going to take the job in New York. I'll be on Platform 2, Marylebone, Friday, 7:15 p.m. Come with me, darling. Spare him a life half lived, a marriage of convenience. More importantly, spare yourself. Seize this thing that is true and real and infinite. Yes, it is scary, but I believe living a lie is worse. We could be happy. Know that you hold my heart, my hopes in your hands. Your boot." When Ellie finishes reading the letter, she wants to know who sent it. Now we get a scene where Jennifer finds a letter inside a book. This was written by Boot, who asks if they can meet. Jennifer begins rummaging through the house trying to find another letter that could help her solve the mystery. Eventually, she finds another letter, but it doesn't reveal much. 6 months earlier, Jennifer was spending some time with Lawrence in the Riviera. But it is also during this time that Jennifer meets a journalist named Anthony O'Hare who's there to write about her husband. At night, Anthony stays to have dinner with the Sterlings and their friends. Jennifer finds it infuriating that every time she wants to talk, her husband cuts her off. Anthony also makes a comment that annoys Jennifer, so he decides to hand her an apology letter the next day and invite Jennifer and her husband for lunch. During lunch, Lawrence asks Anthony if there's a Mrs. O'Hare. Anthony says that there was, but they divorced, although they have a kid named Peter. After Lawrence has to excuse himself from the table, Jennifer says to Anthony that he reminds her of William Boot from Scoop. Then Jennifer takes Anthony out for sailing. Anthony confesses that the reason he's divorced it's because he was unfaithful. And the only person he knows he loves is his boy. Jennifer says that she and Lawrence are perfectly content. Jennifer sends a letter to Anthony to let him know that Lawrence had to leave, so she's inviting him to spend some time with her. The letters and interactions kept happening on a daily basis. And one day, Jennifer feels like kissing Anthony, however, he stops her before that happens, making Jennifer run away. Anthony writes her a letter to explain that he has never wanted to kiss anyone so badly, but when she looked up at him, something changed. And in that moment, he feared that their desires would destroy them. Jennifer finds Anthony and embarks on whatever the future departs for them. At some point, Anthony tells Jennifer to run away with her to New York and start a new life. But Jennifer is not sure about doing this since she believes that Anthony could get bored of her like in his previous relationship. Anthony says that that won't happen because this is something he has never felt before. Jennifer writes to Anthony a letter where he says that it's not just her family and her security that would lose, but also her peace of mind. So to run away with him is a risk that she's not willing to take. Anthony replies that he acknowledges how scary it is, but believes it's worth it since they can be happy. Jennifer now believes that Anthony is right, so she takes her ring off and meets with Felipe, who will drive her to the station to meet with the love of her life. However, it was a rainy night and they got into a car accident which prevented her from reaching the station. Ellie and Rory find another letter. Then Rory gets a call, but Ellie picks it up and that's how she finds out that it's Rory's birthday. Rory didn't say anything to Ellie because he would rather be with her. Rory then takes Ellie to his birthday party. Rory's ex is there because Rory's sister invited her since they're friends, but he says that he's not talking to any of them tonight. Ellie opens up and tells Rory that she was in an 8-year relationship, but they broke up because he wanted kids and she didn't. And now she feels like perhaps she wants kids, but maybe she didn't love him enough to have them with him. Rory and Ellie dance and then he takes her to his house. They kiss and finally get intimate with each other. The next day, Ellie freaks out and leaves without waking Rory up. Then she walks to a mailing agency to figure out if they can tell her who owns the P.O. box from the letters. However, they tell her that because of a data protection law, they cannot reveal that. So Ellie decides to write a letter to Jennifer saying that she has some letters that may belong to her, so perhaps she could tell her about the story behind them. Unfortunately, Ellie receives a letter from Jennifer saying she does not wish to speak to her regarding the events. Ellie doesn't want to take a no for an answer, so she visits Mrs. Sterling's house. But again, the woman rejects Ellie and only gives her an important detail, the of boot, Mr. O'Hare. Back in the past, Jennifer finds the letter Lawrence was hiding from her where Anthony told her to meet him at the station. Jennifer confronts Lawrence about this. He says that he found the letter the night of the accident and he knows about her affair with Anthony. But Lawrence also tells her that Anthony was killed during the accident. Jennifer believes this is impossible because the man next to her was Felipe. But Lawrence explains that Felipe was the driver, but the man in the passenger seat was Anthony. Ellie finds out that Anthony worked for the same newspaper as her, so she contacts one of her peers to see if she can help her track down this man. Suddenly, Ellie gets a call from Mr. O'Hare himself, who invites her to his house. Ellie asks if he and Jennifer went to New York as they had planned. But O'Hare tells her that that never happened. So Ellie asks if they ever saw each other again. Here we get a scene from the year 1969 in London, which confirms that after some years they saw each other again. Jennifer tells Anthony what really happened that night when they were supposed to run together. Anthony tells Jennifer that he's still in love with her and to come with him to New York this time. But Jennifer says that too many things have changed, she has a daughter now. Anthony says that he can bring her too and that if she tells him to wait for her, he will. Jennifer says that he loves him and leaves. That was the last time they saw each other. Ellie asks Mr. O'Hare if she can put the two of them in touch, but he refuses because he chose to respect Jennifer's decision all those years ago. But tells her that she should try to give the letters back to Jennifer. This time, Ellie is able to have a talk with Jennifer, who tells her that she took her daughter and went to the hotel where she had met with Anthony. However, Anthony had left a day before. So Jennifer went to the newspaper to see if he was there, but he had resigned. Jennifer gave them her letters and told them that if they heard from Anthony again to tell him she was looking for him. Ellie goes back to her place to finish writing the feature. Her boss loves it. Ellie then calls Rory after ghosting him for a while. She says that she wants to see him again. Rory comes out of his flat to see Ellie and kiss her. Then Ellie visits Anthony to tell him that Jennifer actually went after him. This brings new hope to O'Hare, who decides to write a letter to Jennifer asking her to meet her at the park. Out of nowhere, Jennifer shows up. They close their eyes and imagine that this time Jennifer is able to get on the train with Anthony.